it's hard to believe. I mean, it sounds like a science fiction book, except we're living it. And we're seeing the crime rates go up in New York City and Chicago. We're seeing what happened in Seattle with that little mini experiment of what it's like not to have police, and how it immediately went into, gang warfare and people shaking down businesses and, all the things that happened within days. And yet people are still crying out for it. And the reason they use it as a weapon is because it's so effective. All they have to do is divide us and then poke a few of us, and it's automatically weaponized, and they can get us to do things in the short term if we don't kind of wake up and see what they are doing. But it's surprising to me how effective it is, and that people can't see what's going on.
Yeah, because the worst combination is ignorance and emotionality. So if somebody is ignorant and emotional, it is a dangerous cocktail. And that is why I've also obviously attacked LeBron James a lot in the press, right? Because he is ignorant and emotional. And he hears something, he accepts that to be the full version of the truth, and he has an emotional reaction, which he shares with hundreds of millions of people, right? And when he's wrong, he doesn't correct himself. He doesn't say, I have a responsibility to pursue the full facts of this case, to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. And I actually take that space and that time every single time. The George Floyd stuff, I researched that stuff and sat on that for days. So I just wanted to see what the mainstream media was going to do. And if this was really just about saying Derek Chauvin should be arrested, which he was immediately, he could not have been arrested faster by police protocol, or if this was going to be about just creating this narrative, which ultimately was, which is why I ultimately spoke out against it. Same thing with Breonna Taylor case. I knew for months that there was a lot of stuff that had not made it to the forefront. I knew that, but the media telling the lie that she was sleeping in her room and they had the wrong house and they came in and they shot her. Beyonce then writing a letter demanding justice on those lies. Every step of the way, the media lied about what happened in this case, excluding all of her, her dealings with drug dealers and the narcotics industry. And it was something that I always do, is that when I see the media trying to make me feel emotional, I turn my emotions off and I start researching facts. We have the exact opposite thing happening with people that have tremendous amounts of influence, where they just accept whatever the media says to be the truth, and they react. And then they cause an aftershock, an earthquake of reaction amongst their followers and their fans. And the sad part is that you get to a point where the end result of all of that is like what we saw in LA last week, which was 2 police officers sitting in a cruiser just shot at for no reason, unprompted by a black man. Or what happened last night when 2 police officers were shot for no reason, unprompted by black men. That is the aftershock of words like LeBron James when he comes out and says, we are literally being hunted. We can't even walk outside of our homes. You are signaling to black men that follow you and believe in you that there is a real war going on, and that they are the prey, and that the police are the predators. And what are you going to do if you know that you're in a wilderness with your predators? You're either going to hide or you're going to fight. And you're telling these people to fight, and that's what we're seeing today. And unfortunately, although they will arrest these perpetrators of these crimes, they will never arrest the real perpetrators and perpetuators of these crimes, which in my opinion is the entire ecosystem of the athletes, the Black Lives Matter paints on the NBA court, the NFL players wearing the Jacob Blake thing without knowing that he, is an alleged digital rapist. And those people will never have to pay for the society that they are helping to create. And that bothers me.
Do we have to hold these celebrities accountable? And can you?
I think you should. I really do believe you should. I think especially the media. The reason for the media being able to do this and not be held accountable is because of New York Times versus Sullivan, which in my opinion should be reversed. Think about a world, and this is like actually what I love about the UK. The UK has a real defamation standard. America does not, because of New York Times versus Sullivan. So people can say harmful things about people, know that it is 100% false, and they don't get in trouble, right? So you can call a police officer a white supremacist. You can call Candace Owens literally Hitler. And there's nothing I can really do other than read the articles, and they say, oh, well, Candace is a public figure, so all bets are off. You can say lies about Trump and call him a racist, a white supremacist, and you can delude millions and millions of people into believing that vision because we have this standard that was destroyed by New York Times versus Sullivan. The standard should always be to tell the truth. It doesn't matter if the person is a public figure. It doesn't matter how many followers the person has, or if the person is a celebrity you're a politician, they should be required to tell the truth. And then unfortunately, when people do things for public, for private citizens, which we still do have a defamation standard, many times it just costs too much money to fight it. So, the Covington Catholic case was a case in which he won. Great. He stood up to the mob and he won, and he raised a ton of money because he was smeared as a white supremacist when he was a boy. But too much of that goes on, particularly when it comes to police officers. And there's really nothing they can do about it because they are considered, public officials.